And we're now working really tight with countries in Caucasus and Turkey to connect Caspian Sea to Black Sea and then to European markets, what is now called the Middle Corridor. And you will be hearing that notion more and more frequently, Trans-Caspian Middle Corridor. So that gives us some advantages, and we are now adding new dimension to logistics and transportation is research and academia.
喺睇片之前，大家記得分享、讚好同訂閱卓見名家，最緊要撳埋呢個鐘仔，咁你就唔會錯過我哋嘅最新影片。
I'm standing today to give you some comments on what's happening in the middle of the Eurasian continent, why Kazakhstan is important for Belt and Road initiatives, and how can we add value to educational and research dimension of that huge project, connecting Asia and Europe, nurturing that vision that humankind had for many centuries in closing large markets together, connecting cultures, connecting economies, and creating this big transition, big pathway for interchanging and exchanging ideas, technologies, innovation. Kazakhstan is a landlocked country, which gives us a lot of disadvantages. We don't have any access to seas, and we're the largest landlocked country, by the way. But it has its own advantages as well. We're right in the middle, and for Belt and Road Initiative, many experts call Kazakhstan the buckle of the belt. We're right in the middle. We're the connecting tissue, and we are bordering, some might call it a complex neighborhood, but we are bordering both with China and Russia. We have the largest, one of the longest borders with Russia, 7,500 kilometers. We also have access to Caspian Sea. And we're now working really tight with countries in Caucasus and Turkey to connect Caspian Sea to Black Sea and then to European markets, what is now called the Middle Corridor. And you will be hearing that notion more and more frequently, Trans-Caspian Middle Corridor. So that gives us some advantages, and we are now adding new dimension to logistics and transportation is research and academia. But let me give you just quick facts about Kazakhstan. We are 9th largest country in the world with a territory of 2.7 square kilometers, quite a large country. Diverse population, about 20 million. We're very scarce. I mean, in terms of density of population, it's a large country with small population, but quite diverse. 130 ethnic groups living in Kazakhstan very peacefully. We have Koreans, we have Russians, Ukrainians, we have a lot of people. Well, thanks to our historical background, we used to be part of Soviet Union. And in 1930s, Stalin's times, the Kazakhstan used to be called prison of nations. They would exile a lot of ethnic groups to Kazakhstan. It was cold, it was big, not densely populated. We are the largest economy in our region, accounting to more than 60% of the regional GDP. We are the region's highest GDP per capita. If you look at the large indicators, more than almost $500 billion in foreign direct investments, $250 billion in GDP, and we have a very ambitious plan now to double our GDP in 5 years' time and bring it to $500 billion. So there are several reasons to look closer to our region, look closer to Central Asia. One is strategic access to major markets. I mean, we're right in the middle. If you set up any operation in Kazakhstan or Central Asia, you are equally distant both from Asian markets and European markets. And just to give you an example, Svevind, a German-Swedish company, was tasked by German government to open a green hydrogen production in North Africa. You know, European Union has a new strategy now, which was adopted last year, in the end of last year, on green hydrogen production. So they would use southern European countries like Spain and in Italy and their partners in North Africa to produce a lot of green hydrogen. But this company disobeyed its government. Can you imagine a German company disobeying German government? And they came to Kazakhstan, so they're setting up a green hydrogen, a large green hydrogen production, 50 gigawatt equivalent in west of Kazakhstan, in the city of Aktau, right on the shore of Caspian Sea. And the reason, the rationale behind that was like, well, we're going to be in the middle, we're going to be in the buckle of the belt and produce a lot of green hydrogen because they have all the personnel we need, we have all the natural and alternative energy resources we need, and we have full government support in Kazakhstan. So I'll be in the middle, and I'll be producing this green hydrogen and transporting it both to Asian market, emerging Asian markets, and South Korea and Japan, and People's Republic of China have separate strategies, alternative strategies on hydrogen. And hydrogen is becoming this really emerging, interesting alternative source of energy. So strategic access to major markets. And then Russia and Central Asia, India are large emerging markets as well. And the global economy as we speak is disrupting. I mean, we used to have this huge supply chain markets, supply chain value-added chain markets, but not anymore. There's a more regional approach. So if you want to be right in the middle of these strategic access to markets, Kazakhstan is country to watch. Second big rationale is abundant natural resources. Our country is blessed with all kinds of resources. We're #1 in uranium production in the world, we produce more uranium than Russia, Australia, or Canada, major players. We are very abundant in rare earth metals. That's another big reason. And you know how they call rare earth metals now? They call them critical metals. They're quite critical now for any high-tech industry, be it space engineering, be it new materials, be it battery production. So we are quite high on our reserves of rare earth metals. We are one of the leaders in certain rare earth metals like vanadium, rhenium, titanium. One of the largest titanium producing plants back in Soviet Union. It was in east of Kazakhstan, where I come from, city of Özkemen. There's a funny story connected to that, but we won't have time for that. So apart from natural resources, we also have abundance of land and wind and sun. So alternative energy is another good point. So that Svevin company, they carefully examined the market and said, okay, we'll be setting up a lot of windmills, 1,500 windmills to produce green hydrogen. So water is there, the Caspian Sea, and very strong winds. And some of you who visited Kazakhstan know it's a cold country with very strong winds. The third rationale is business friendly. We're making our best to create the business friendly environment by eliminating regulatory limitations, by creating a favorable legislative framework, by creating Astana International Financial Center, which was copy-pasted from DIFC, Dubai International Financial Center. I used to serve as member of the board, the managing director of that center. So we brought British law. So we have a territory, a specially designated territory, run on principles of British law and English law. So any company can come to Kazakhstan, become a member of AIFC, and run its business as usual based on British law. We have International Arbitration Court run by British judges and arbiters. The court of AIFC, the chairman of the court is former chairman of the High Court of UK. So we have a legislative environment and regulatory framework based on international standards. The companies or any educational institutions, we made a special case for educational institutions. They don't have to comply with local regulatory framework. We issue a license still, but it's business as usual. Any company keeps its normal business procedures, admission policies, academic policies, HR policies. We made it as flexible as possible to have more companies and educational institutions to come to the region. And the last reason, the last rationale is human capital. And Madam Nancy Ip knows really well the quality of human capital. She was the one to come to Kazakhstan almost 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, and start recruiting Kazakh high school graduates. So we have a large community of students in any Hong Kong university, be it Hong Kong PolyU, be it Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Chinese University of Hong Kong, City University of Hong Kong has a large number of Kazakh students, fluent in English, good academic background. There are not many things we're thankful to Soviet Union, but there are a couple of. One is good education. We have solid education, math, STEM, chemistry, biology, physics. We have some 100-year-old solid research universities, which we're now taking to the next level, to research-intensive universities. So human capital is there. We have a government scholarship program called Bolshak. So we are sending our best and brightest, about 15,000 of them, to the best universities in the world. Now, the last big argument I have for any education institution to look closer to our region is demographics. So if you look at this region, which used to be called Greater Eurasia region, former Soviet Union, Central Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, there are more than 2 billion people living in this area. And demographics have exploded. More than half of these people, 2 billion population, are young people under age of 25. Kazakhstan only, we have 400,000 babies born annually on average. Uzbekistan, 1 million babies. India, 60,000 daily. Imagine a small town born daily. There are 1,200,000 schools, primary schools in India only, and 650 million young people. So that creates huge demand for education, and specifically for higher education. There's a saying in India, it's easier to get to MIT than to IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, because the demand and competition is so fierce. We enjoy about 50 to 60,000 of Indian students coming to Kazakhstan because they can't get proper access back home. And there's an interesting historic connection. Back in Soviet times, Soviet time was in very good terms with India. And a lot of students from India would come to Russia, to Moscow, St. Petersburg. It used to be called Leningrad back then, the city of Lenin. Kiev and Kazakhstan. Back in 1955, the first Prime Minister of India visited Almaty, our former capital. We were part of Soviet Union back then. That's first Secretary General of Communist Party of Kazakh Socialist Soviet Republic, His Excellency Kunaev. He was welcoming Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi. Indira is a very popular girl's name in Kazakhstan because they came to Almaty. Everybody was fascinated with Indira Gandhi, and it became the most popular girl's name in Kazakhstan. So if you come to Kazakhstan, you'll find a lot of Indiras, a lot of women who are called Indira. And then why did you? And they would not know that, but it's thanks to that historic visit, and thanks to that Soviet thing. Diplomas, higher education diplomas, Russian and Kazakh, are still acknowledged by Ministry of Education of India. So we have a lot of students coming from Pakistan and Bangladesh and India, mostly for medicine and engineering. Now, let me really quickly summarize what we're trying to do in Kazakhstan. How do we use that complex situation we have in the region? Winston Churchill said once, never let a good crisis to expire. So we try to position Kazakhstan in 3 dimensions. We call it 3M strategy. And there's a stationery company called 3M, nothing to do with it. So 3M strategy. The first M is middle power. I'm a political scientist by training. You can tell it from my accent, American trained, American college trained. And the middle power concept is a very popular concept back in Cold War times. We had global powers, Soviet Union, United States, but countries like Canada, like France, European countries, Australia said, hey, we are middle powers. We have a say, in certain issues like environment, like human rights. There's big powers, but then there are middle powers. So now, last 20, 30 years, there are new middle powers emerging. A good case would be South Korea. They're very smart. They use their soft power, K-pop, Blackpink, K-pop, cuisine, cinematography, the Parasites, the very first movie, non-English foreign movie to get the Best Picture, the Oscar Awards, Academy Awards. And now a lot of, the Qataris is another good example. Qatar, Turkey is emerging regional middle power. So for our region, we think Kazakhstan can have and can be that middle power. Middle corridor, so enhancing connectivity. We're crucial, we're buckle of the belt, we're working really hard to make that middle corridor happen and bring that new power of connectivity to Belt and Road Initiative. And middle way. Given that situation, complex situation we have in the region, where Russia and Ukraine used to be academic mobility hubs, but they can't anymore. I mean, you can't do any education in Ukraine for the moment, unfortunately. It's very tragic. And Russia is out of Bologna process. So a lot of students looking for alternatives. Where should I go? I mean, I prefer not to go to Russia. I can't go to Ukraine anymore. So we try to position Kazakhstan as this new academic mobility and research hub of the region. So connectivity, the middle corridor is very important. We are working really closely with Government of People's Republic of China. Our president, His Excellency Tokayev, he is a Soviet-trained diplomat who served in Beijing during Soviet times as second secretary. And he's fluent in Chinese, in Mandarin. He graduated from Beijing University of Languages. He's in very good personal relationship with His Excellency Chairman Xi Jinping. He's coming on his closest visit will be in July this year to Kazakhstan. So we're working really closely with our European partners and Chinese partners to make it happen. And we made a significant progress. It now takes 17 to 18 days to take any good of any sophistication in good transportation, with good transportation security from Leningrad dry port all the way to Rotterdam. And comparably, it'll take about almost 50 days, or at least 30 days, to take it by sea from Shanghai seaport to the same port in Rotterdam. And it was we accomplished it thanks to the railroad strategy we had. So we built a lot of connecting railroads, stations, and logistics hubs to make that smooth transition. Almost $35 billion were invested in the last 15 years to make it happen, and it's now completed. We had a train leaving from Leningrad and arriving to Rotterdam in a matter of 18 days. And now we're using that middle corridor connection to connect Kazakhstan through Caspian Sea to Baku, to Azerbaijan, and then through Georgia to Turkey. And then we have alternative route, which is even shorter, about 15 days. So that is a reality. More and more companies now establishing their operations in Kazakhstan. They want to be in the buckle of the belt. We want to be right in the middle so that they can use that strategic location to work with both Asian and European markets. Now, my last, and would be the core message I have, there is a huge education market. 2 billion people. Imagine 1 billion young people living in the area with very low education infrastructure. There's not enough education infrastructure. There are not enough good universities. Russia, Ukraine used to be academic mobility hubs. A lot of these students looking for options. So within a matter of 2 years, dear colleagues, we had 17 really solid universities who came to Kazakhstan and established their operations. I'll give you several examples. The Leicester University, it's British university. They set up operations in Almaty, our largest city in south of Kazakhstan, with a brand of De Montfort University. You could find it on a map. They invested $12 million in establishing a campus we issued a separate government decree. We provide full government and regulatory support, special licensing regime, so that they can keep their flexibility. And they started with British bachelor program. We'll have their first batch next year. Full flexibility, full government support, special government decree to keep all their policies and regulatory framework intact, business as usual. Another good example would be University of Arizona, which is the first American university to come to this part of the world ever. And we set it up north. It's city of Petropavlovsk, very close to Russian border, 72 kilometers from Russian border. They were not happy at all. Every now and then I talk to my colleague from Russia, Minister Falkov, and he's always like, well, Sayasat, we don't really like the idea of having American university so close to Russia. But, you know, we have to think about it. We have to think different strategies. I say, sure. I mean, Your Excellency, I mean, it's okay. And we set it up last year. We started with 3 bachelor programs, 150 students, the first batch. The second year, we had 500. This year, we'll have 1,000. Reason? A lot of Russians from these big cities, Novosibirsk, Tomsk, Omsk, the only possibility to go to have an American education is now that University of Arizona campus, because they normally not get admitted. I mean, it's a problem. They made it public. University of Florida was the first American university to cancel, to not admit any Russian nationals, to a pity. And they are now making all the Russian students transfer to different universities. Now they're making it public. Now, Heriot-Watt is another good example. It's the oldest Scottish technological university. Again, we had full government support, special government decree. They kept their programs. We started with 3 bachelor programs last year, geoengineering, electrical engineering, and computer engineering, 300 students. We provide full government scholarships as well, so that for 10 years, for the first 10 years of any campus who comes to Kazakhstan, fully covered by government scholarships. Anyone who gets admitted to this new campus, full government scholarship for 10 years. We want to make sure they don't run for money, they have good footing, good foothold in the region, they're government supported and backed. We provided full infrastructure support for Heriot-Watt. They have 3 global campuses now, one in Dubai, the second is in KL, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and the 3rd global campus now is in Aktobe, in the city of west of Kazakhstan. And my last good example would be the Kazakh-German consortia. Remember I told you about this Svevin company, the green hydrogen production company. So we approached them right away and we said, we don't want you to have, to bring this workforce from Europe. It's really difficult. Let us train basic personnel for your company here in Kazakhstan. Which universities you work with? They said, well, we work with 4 universities, Wildau, Darmstadt, Berlin Technical, and Hamburg University of Applied Sciences. We brought them all together as a consortia to the city of Aktau in west of Kazakhstan. We started with a very interesting formula called 2 + 1 + 1. 2 years in Kazakhstan, and we have a advanced German program, language program. 1 year in one of these 4 German universities, and 1 year what we call industrial secondment. It's dual training program for this large green hydrogen production. Good value proposition for any applicant, for any student. You get 2 diplomas, Kazakh diploma, German diploma, and industrial certificate, highly employable as we call it. German, Turkish, Chinese, Lubang Ganfang. So we opened that Lubang, very famous workshop model in east of Kazakhstan, focusing on electric car production and autopiloting. City University of Hong Kong. That's the big reason why I am here. And Madam Nancy Ip mentioned there are some guests who traveled long ways, that's me, to come here specifically to work with City University of Hong Kong's management. We're trying to bring them to Kazakhstan as well. So they would be the first Hong Kong university to dare to open new market, to have this big adventure in this unknown terra incognita territory for Hong Kong. And may they pave the way, they will be the pathfinders. We welcomed their delegation to Almaty last year. and they've seen the potential, they've seen the market, so you could always talk to your colleagues from City University of Hong Kong to have their impressions of the region, to have their impressions of the human capital and quality of education in Kazakhstan. Seoul Tech, I just flew in from Seoul, from South Korea. There are five Korean universities who will be coming to Kazakhstan. One, which is already in Kazakhstan, is Seoul Tech, Seoul University of Science and Technology. We signed last year. We're opening up a branch campus of 3 programs: cybersecurity, computer science, and artificial intelligence. KAIST, Korean Advanced Institute of Science Technology. We have signed a principal agreement yesterday with Ministry of Education of Korea. It's actually Science and ICT, Information Technologies, to establish KAIST Kazakhstan. So they have this giving back to society model. You know, KAIST, if you look back in history, it was established back in 1971 with support and help of Stanford University. So now they want to help developing nations to have an advanced research-intensive university as well. They started with Kenya KAIST, but they made a mistake. They admitted that because the primary education in Kenya is not good quality. So when they come with their advanced programs, there's not enough human capital to get their advanced PhD and master degrees because they're mostly graduate and postgraduate school. So now they turned back. I said, I told you, you should come to Kazakhstan. We have good human capital. We have good school education to feed you with talents. So now we we've made principal agreement to bring KAIST to Kazakhstan. Penn State, Dong-i, another Korean university, Kia has opened large new generation automobile production factory in north of Kazakhstan, city of Kostanay. Russians were not happy again, because why are you bringing all these foreign universities and institutions to north, so close to our border? And we said, well, it's a sign of our brotherly love, right? We love you so much. So Dong-i was this Korean university serving Hyundai and Kia, having dual training programs for their technicians and engineers. So we brought them to city of Kostanay to train engineers for this new Kia production plant. Gubkin, well, we have to bring a lot of Russian universities. So there are top universities like Moscow Engineering and Physics Institution, like Gubkin, that famous oil and gas institution, are already in Kazakhstan having joint programs and running their academic programs in Kazakhstan. We tried to talk to Singapore, and they said, no, we can't do that. Because it's a different reason. But we do have very strong relations with Singapore as well. And any academic institution which says, wow, it sounds interesting, it's a big market, I see the potential, what do I get? It's a new market for me, it's a highly risk area. I've never heard about Kazakhstan. Well, I heard about it, but it's so close to Russia, it's kind of a risky territory for me. You'll get full government support from my ministry. As I mentioned, funding. All students who would be admitted to that new venture will have 10 years worth of full government scholarships. So we'll cover all the tuition fees, infrastructure support, labs for any students who are admitted. 10 years. If needed more, we'll take more. Taxation exemption. License obtaining, will issue a special government decree to give you full licensing support and regulatory support. Heriot-Watt, they had problems in Malaysia. They had to comply with quite strict and regulatory framework. So they said, well, it's kind of we had bad experience, quite painful. Boom, government decree. No regulatory. I said, no, we're coming. Visas for all the faculty or any experts. We have a special visa status now for academic visas. Multiple entry, no problem with that. And if like the Leicester University said, I want to have an investment model. I want to set up. So we found them a good piece of land, free of charge, and we're working with local authorities to provide construction, all the support, administrative support needed for building a campus. I'm going to stop here because I have a sign saying 1 minute left. So these are all the different models we have. by inviting you to Kazakhstan, by inviting you to join this large market, education market, which is forming. It is indeed a land of opportunity for the time being, given that a lot of businesses now relocating to Kazakhstan, thanks to that crisis we have. 37 companies, Google, Huawei, Microsoft, Samsung, large companies, they come to Kazakhstan seeking the location, seeking the government support. So I will be here throughout the conference. I have my team with me. I have our Consul General in Hong Kong, who is established here. I have president of one of our leading technical university, Mr. Mehram Begintayev. Can you please, yes, sure.